Hello and welcome back. I'm Melissa Ortiz.
I'm Camila Ramon.
And this is Hasta Abajo.
Baby. Meli, can you believe that we are over halfway through the season of the podcast?
Insane, y'all. Time flies when you're having so much fun and talking a lot of chisme con tu amiga.
Absolutely. And if this is your first time joining us, my friend Meli over here, she's an Olympian, former professional soccer player, footballer, and now a sports broadcaster and my number one hype girl.
Yes, that is right. And my girl Cami is now a singer. What? A fitness enthusiast and Peloton instructor. She's actually the first cycling and tread instructor to teach classes both in English and in Spanish on Peloton. So shout out to my girl Cami. And again, if you're new to the show, welcome. You're all welcome here always, because we love to talk about everything about Latinidad, chisme, and we all do it with accompanying it with a cup of coffee from time to time.
Cafecito or mate sometimes, okay? So we're going to hit up our cafe chisme section today with our girl, Tess Garcia, journalist and pop culture analyst, to help us dig into this Bad Bunny Super Bowl business, baby. Ooh. And then what are we getting into, Meli?
And we're going to get into a perfect way to kick off your day with an incredible topic, which is around living the life of your dreams. Because, I mean, we're all going to talk about Benito, Bad Bunny, and who better is living the life of his dreams. And I think our dreams, too.
Literally.
So why don't we just drop the beat? This is Hasta Abajo. Let's go.
Okay, so fun fact, you guys. We were just talking to Tess, who's here joining us. Hi, Tess.
Hi, Tess.
Hola, my favorite chicas de deporte. How are we?
Thanks for being here. But she was like, I love that little beat. And I was like, fun fact, I've been working with my producer so long that he's actually the one that produced the beat for the podcast as well. So not only is he producing my music, but he also supported us with this, which is incredible.
What's his name?
Alonso.
Shout out Alonso.
Period, Alonso.
I know.
Oh my God.
Doing the Lord's work.
We love Alonso.
We do. We're big fans. But we're also big fans of the recent announcement that happened. The Super Bowl halftime performer has been announced. There were a lot of speculations. I personally thought it was going to be Taylor Swift. But you know what? I was really fucking pumped when it was Benito.
Well, yes.
So I asked my friend Tess Garcia, because I went on social media. Well, my reaction wasn't so immediate. We'll get into like immediate reactions. But I logged onto social media the next morning and I saw my friend Tess, who is a journalist, but also breaking down the biggest moments in pop culture on TikTok. She is a stylist. She is a comedian. She is a marketing strategist. She is an occasional yoga teacher. She's literally an icon. And she's also like, something that I love about Tess is that she is a voice of the community, period. Like
of the people.
Mm-hmm. And we fucking love her. So
yes. I
opened up TikTok and I immediately saw her commenting on it. And her take was just so on point that I was like, you're coming on the show. Please tell me you're available tomorrow.
I said, obviously. So here we are.
Thanks for being here, Tess.
Thank you so much for having me. I am a regular listener, so this for me is very meta.
What an honor.
Oh,
yeah, seriously,
you
honestly.
Knew I was. You knew it.
So I need to ask you, ladies, where you were when you heard the announcement.
Meli, where were you?
I don't know. Oh, it was during the game. I was on the couch and my husband was like, Bad Bunny is going to do the halftime show for the Super Bowl. And I'm like, like my ears perked up. I was like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? Or like, what's going on here? Yeah, that's where I was.
And then what did you say?
I was just
that
like,
was it?
You know, when you're like,
it's very anticlimactic.
No, just wait.
For somebody who's a huge Bad Bunny fan, like,
just wait. Do you know when you're like, you have your phone in your hand, you're like kind of watching a game, you're like kind of paying attention, but not really. Yeah. So I just heard words. I heard Bad Bunny Super Bowl at halftime, and I'm like, what's going on here? You know? And then finally, I had to like kind of confirm it. You know, and then I was like, oh shit, this is insane. This is amazing, by the way. But then I think my brain automatically started being like, but why? But oh my God, but this is amazing. But there's so many meaning to it. You know what I mean? I just started like, holy shit. And that's me. Okay. What about you, Tess?
So around 7 p.m. Eastern time, I got a text. Listen, you guys, that was before the news broke.
Oh my God, you had a leak?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
So, well, maybe I did, but it was not from like a source inside.
Right.
It was just from a friend who was
Is
like,
it
girl,
chisme?
it's going to be bad. It was chisme. My friend was like, girl, it's going to be Bad Bunny. Like, how are you getting, no, she said, girl, how are you getting to the Super Bowl? And in my head, I'm like, okay, so what's Bad Bunny got to do with the Super Bowl? Because that's what she has to be discussing. I go on Twitter and I'm seeing not super reliable sources, but sources with a check mark, which you could buy now on Twitter to be verified.
Mm-hmm.
Just being like, it will be Bad Bunny and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm a journalist. I go on his tour schedule because I know he's going to be in Latin America. He's in Chile, February 7th.
He's not going to make it.
I'm like, I'm doing the math. I'm like, even in a private jet.
Is he going to cancel the show?
Que sé yo. I think he could do it. I think he could do it.
He could do everything.
They will cart him from that stage. He'll be like on a gurney, not a gurney, but you know what I mean? Like something fat, a golf cart, if you will, to a private jet, and then they're going to book it because it's going to take like 13 hours from Santiago to the Bay Area.
Yeah,
minimum.
I just did that flight literally like 2 weeks ago.
To the Bay?
Okay, no, sorry, from Chile, but that was hella
I do
long.
that flight often,
Actually, from Uruguay, and that was hella long. But yes, continue. Yep. It's long.
Yeah, but basically, I tweeted. I was like, "You guys, like, stop spreading misinformation." Like, I was being real, like, journalist, like, on my high horse. I'll believe it when I see it. And then, like, 2 hours later, I was like, "Okay, so I saw it. I do believe it."
Yeah, I believe it, and I love it.
You're like, I also believe now the paid verified check mark.
Yeah, suddenly like a random person who I've never heard of in my life could have a leg to stand on with me.
Love it.
I was at a show. I went to Silvina Estrada. She's dropping an album who's incredible. It, like her, we'll talk about it I think on Me Famosa, but that was a very, very like cathartic experience for me. And I also had a couple of drinks at this show. So then I was like, we like came back home and I like opened social media and I'm like, I have an app blocker now. So I get my news a little late.
That's true.
Okay,
I'm a little late to the
You're
game.
You're better than me.
So I like unblocked my app blocker as I do every night for 15 minutes.
Maybe not that much better than you, Tess.
Maybe not. I like to think that I am, though. So I unblocked it for my first session of 15 minutes of unblocking for the evening. It's probably normally 5 times that I unblock it at night. So who am I saying that I'm better than? I opened it and I was like, oh, Bad Bunny is some like going to be on the Super Bowl. And I was like, oh, and it looked like a chisme page. It was like one of those like reggaeton chisme pages. So then I was like, I'll believe it when I see it. I like threw my phone on the couch and I was just like, I like went to sleep because I was tired. And I can't hang anymore. I had like 2 drinks, by the way. So then I like woke up the next morning and the first thing, like that's when I actually got excited because I was like, this is a rumor. Like I just went to sleep. And then I woke up and I started looking at people getting so excited. And then everyone's like, I was waiting for your reaction. I was waiting for your reaction. I was like, I went to sleep. I knocked the fuck out. I went to sleep. But literally, Tess's video was the first one that I saw when I woke up. So, Tess.
Cami.
You did a little bit of research. You did a little bit of digging.
Because she's our journalist.
Your takes, your hot takes.
Yeah. So I, beyond my work in journalism, I also do marketing specifically targeted toward Latinos in the U.S. So there's a bunch of random stats just jumbled around in my head related to this demographic. My first thought when I heard the news that this was real, that Bad Bunny was going to be our performer, was this makes sense economically, like, which is so cynical. But Latinos are the economic powerhouse of the U.S. right now. One of the stats that I know you mentioned to me at some point, Cami, from my TikTok, is that actually I had an outdated stat in that TikTok, but as of last year's report, the U.S. Latino GDP is $4.1 trillion, which is to say that's the output of Latinos in the United States economically. That's what they're producing through their labor. Mm-hmm. That's an insane number. That number is higher than a lot of countries. And
right. I think, I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but like I checked the list and it was like, if Latinos in the US were a country on their own, like, do you have the number? Because I feel like it's like the 5th.
It's basically Latinos, they are
Let me do a quick Google.
Yeah.
They are the 5th largest GDP in the world.
Exactly.
Yep.
In the
Yeah.
world.
In the world.
That's
So if
fucking
Latinos
countries.
only in the US were their own country,
Yep.
they would be the 5th largest GDP in the world.
Facts.
Single fastest growing as well of the top 10 in the last, from 2019 to 2023, the fastest growing GDP in the world, surpassing China.
Wow.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
It just goes to show, like, not only are we the fastest growing demographic in the United States, but there is spending power behind that, that if you want to do good business in this country, you cannot ignore, regardless of your political beliefs, regardless of anything.
Yeah.
And I think this is, as much as I am a fan, and I'm so excited as a fan to watch and perrear in my living room, like, or there, ojalá, we'll see. Listen, putting it out there.
NFL, we've been here this whole time.
NFL, listen, we're not new to this.
NFL, I love football. I love it.
Yeah, when they do the thing where they, I don't know what they do actually. I have to say.
Very unfortunately, I have to say that I am a Dolphins fan.
I saw that.
You are.
Yeah,
I am
got the
a
merch.
Dolphins fan through and through. We won last night. At what cost? It's very unfortunate what happened to Tyreek Hill last night.
Yes,
but
I saw that.
anyway,
I do have
also
to say,
this is-
I have to say that in my 35 years of life, I've never been to an NFL game.
Me either.
But Tess, but you know what? How amazing would your first NFL experience be if Bad Bunny was perhaps the
Escucha.
halftime show?
My team, the Lions, they were awful through I'm from Michigan. The Detroit Lions were awful my entire childhood. So bad, laughably bad. I can say that now because they're good now.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, people were talking like they might actually make it to the Super Bowl. So I watched, and I was like, I kind of like these guys.
There we go.
So imagine, I don't think it'll happen, but imagine if it were my team and Benito. Like, I'm putting out emails now. Una nunca sabe. We'll see.
I started, honestly, like, I didn't even need to do much because all the people that take my class on Peloton already started the campaign for me. Like, they posted a video of me, like, twerking on a bicycle. Like, people who do not take my class are so confused. They're like, why is this bitch twerking on a bike? But the people that know, they get it and they understand. But people were like all tagging the NFL. They're like, take her to the Super Bowl.
Road to
Take her
Super
to the
Bowl.
Super Bowl. I was like, I fucking love you guys. So thank you so much for commenting on that video. And if you haven't done so, please let's continue this campaign. But also something that I thought was very interesting is that this is also a year where, I mean, this is not the first time that the Super Bowl halftime performance is a Latino artist. Like,
Right.
let's be for real. But also I think it's one of the few times where it's like a very, very Spanish language forward Latino artist, because we had Shakira, we've had J-Lo, there's been Gloria Estefan and many, many more, but they're very much so like crossover artists, where Benito has managed to be a crossover artist but still maintaining the Spanish forward language and not diluting any of the culture. Matter of factly, he has been diving into the culture like even more so. And I'm not sure if this is the first time. It's definitely not the first time, but like the NFL has also like expanded more internationally. They're having games overseas.
Oh, yeah.
They're having games everywhere right now.
That Sao Paulo game with Karol G as the
Right.
performer, like they know exactly what they're doing in terms of. I took a class on like sports and communications in college, and I learned basically the rules of football were adjusted and created to lend themselves to television. Like, it's meant to be really good TV. So it makes sense that they're considering every aspect of what makes really good television for the world.
Yeah.
Right.
As opposed to just football fans in this.
Well, you look at it at a marketing perspective like that, Tess, especially with your background. And like, I believe it's since 2007, 2008 that they started expanding, their international marketing efforts for such an American sport to England, Germany, now we see South America. So you're seeing like different continents getting the football experience on site in stadium. But now, obviously, if you're on TV and you have the world's greatest artist at this current moment, like how big is that for Latinos right now?
Whew. I mean, it is the biggest stage in the world. Love the Super Bowl, hate it. Love the NFL, hate it. This is the most watched broadcast, point blank period. Doesn't matter where you are. And for that to be somebody who is so, like you said, Cami, like not only makes no attempt at crossover, but shows that you don't need to cross over in order to resonate with people who maybe don't even understand you. Like, I think that's a statement that it's going to make a lot of people mad. But it's also, it's really representative of a moment in history in which, like, we have no choice but to listen to the people who are calling the shots in our culture. And right now, that's Latinos.
Honestly, I feel like for me personally, like I've had a really hard time like grasping everything that's happening in our communities right now. It's been a very challenging time for me to even like show up sometimes, some days, like excited and happy, you know, in the way that I want to, because I want to uplift people.
Yeah.
So during a time where the last thing that I expected as a Latina was something like this to be decided upon by people in positions of power, people that could have been potentially swayed to make a different decision, I get chills just thinking about it, because it was just such a relief. And I think it's such a beautiful opportunity for us to continue to use this as an opportunity to speak on the beauty of everything that we are and the things that we bring forward and the things that we deserve as Latinos, especially in the United States. And it motivates me, even though I never stopped doing it. I think there was like 2 classes that I was like really sad, and like the people afterwards were like, "Hey girl, like, are you okay? Like, I see you." Like people, there's very like little classes where like I have taught class and like not been well, or like not been able to like push through something. There were 2 particular classes that I taught earlier this year that I was just like not well, like, and it was a time where I could have chosen to kind of like take a step back and potentially like not teach a class, but I was like, this is so real, like what's happening right now. And even if I communicate in a way that's not as direct as potentially like I'm ready to, I just showing up and like showing my feelings and speaking to some of the things that I'm going through is a really nice way to unify or feel like we're not alone, because we're really not alone. Like there's so many of us going through this right now. And now, as after those 2 classes that I had, where I was like, I also had a revelation. I was like, the hell, girl, show up your brightest, best, proudest self, your biggest, your loudest, your most fucking happy and excited version to exist and to be who you are, because that's the reality. Like I fucking love being Latina. Like I love being Latina to my core. And if I can perrear on a fucking bicycle in a way that makes some people uncomfortable because they don't understand the culture, like that's okay, and I'm gonna do that to celebrate us.
Tess, I have a question for you, especially because you had the post that you made on TikTok and IG that I love. But for Bad Bunny, and you take a step back, and he did his residency in Puerto Rico, he purposely did not do a show in the United States, right? He said he wants to avoid doing shows in the United States to protect his people. But then he decides to accept this type of offer, which, by the way, there's a lot of, I've been listening to the, I want to say, quote unquote, other side, because I like to hear different perspectives, right? And they're like, oh yeah, money, you know, all stuff. But I've also heard in the past that Super Bowl artists, they don't make a lot of money when they choose to perform at a Super Bowl. It's more of a PR push, a PR play, because the post effects of it is insane. But anyways, I want to ask you, for Bad Bunny, like, why would an artist like him actually go and say, you know what, for this one show, for this Super Bowl halftime show, I'm going to go to the US and perform?
I think, to put it as politely as I can, it's the biggest fuck you that you could possibly imagine, because his concerns around protecting his community come from doing shows in the US, naturally. Right. We heard him say that in my friend Susie Exposito did the great article for ID where he mentioned that. Think about the Super Bowl. that's a humongous venue. It's generally pretty gate kept. Like, you can get tickets to a Bad Bunny show maybe, but you're not going to get tickets to the Super Bowl, but you can watch it from your couch.
Yeah.
That's accessible to people in a way that a typical Bad Bunny tour in the United States would not be. You get to watch it from wherever you are. You can watch it from the safety of your home. For him to do that, and for him to tweet, I saw, it was like, tal vez hago un solo show, una sola noche en los Estados Unidos. I was like, okay, that's baller. Like, to be like, I guess I'll just do just one little thing. Yeah, I mean, I think in a practical sense, a lot of the concerns that would come about from doing a traditional concert tour in the United States right now don't arise from the Super Bowl. And then also, like you said, Meli, regardless of the money here, this is leaving a mark on history in a moment where you would expect someone to feel the need to cross over for the sake of protection, even in the public eye. He's not doing that. And that is the biggest fuck you.
Yeah.
To hear, it's just crazy.
My personal opinion is that like the reward from the representation and like the give back to the community that it has for him to be performing at such a stage and what it means to do that is greater than the risk involved from like the people that are potentially like attending the show to quote unquote see him, because most
100%.
of those tickets, like let's just face it, are probably already sold. They're not accessible. Like it's not an easy, like a regular person like doesn't just like go to the Super Bowl for fun, you know what I mean? Like it just doesn't happen. Okay, I have like on a lighter note, I want to end like our segment with you with like some questions about like the Super Bowl and like your watch party kind of like situation, right?
Okay.
So what's like your perfect Benito Super Bowl watch party like layout?
Ooh, this emulates what I did the first time he hosted SNL, which is crazy that I've done a watch party for him already. I made coquito. I did a little like themed snacks with some friends, and everybody brought a little something, and we just watched from like this little lounge in my building, and we just kind of chilled there. I think that would be my preferred way. I don't want to watch this in public. It's very personal to me. I'm not going to a bar. This is very intimate for me to watch my husband up there.
Why? Because you're gonna be twerking?
Well, right. I'm like, listen, maybe they're playing the Super Bowl at a sports bar, but they're like, what is she doing? And I'm like, you don't know the vibe. No entienden la fucking vibra.
No entienden la fucking vibra, bro.
I just posted on IG story today a picture of a dog, and it's like, si no entiendes, oh no, tú me caes bien porque entiendes mi fucking vibra.
Exactly. Like listen.
Arguably though, in New York, like you can find a really dope spot to go watch this shit.
That's the thing is, now that we have time to plan over it, I'm like, perhaps I will go beyond my usual little like themed TikTok friendly watch party and go somewhere and be hitting the ground hasta abajo while I watch the show.
Well, let's hope that's not the case come February. Let's hope the three of us and our listeners
let's get it.
We are there. We are there.
Campaign has begun. Listen, I can have some pitorro de coco. I invite some of my Boricua friends over so we can perrear, like have my husband watching, narrating to us, because Lord knows, I could be a little delulu and still hope that the Dolphins make it to the Super Bowl. Literally anyone that knows anything about football just laughed out loud.
I know, we're both like, okay.
Yeah, you guys are like, oh my god, yeah, they can do it.
Tess, before we let you go as well, and again, I listened to like this other side of this whole ordeal, right? I know I've been even questioned by either my Latino friends or my, white American friends that are like, Bad Bunny, like, oh my God, right? Even though they do understand that he is like the world's biggest artist right now. Yeah. But you know what? To our audience members, if anyone's just chirping at you, hit them with the straight facts. We love facts, okay? So here's some for you if you want to just chirp back. In 2025, Bad Bunny set multiple records, including the most nominations in a single year at the Billboard Latin Music Awards with 27.
Mm-hmm.
Lock it.
He surpassed 6 billion total streams on Spotify, breaking the all-time viewership record for a single artist performance with his Amazon Music live stream finale that we all watched and tuned into, and I was literally twerking on an airplane too. Right. And then his album, Debí Tirar Más Fotos, became the highest charting live album on the Billboard 200 in more than 5 years. And lastly, if people think like, oh, he didn't perform in the United States, but yada, 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 guys, he generated over $500 million to the island of Puerto Rico from hosting his residency there. So straight up facts, hit him with the straight facts, and que vivan los Latinos.
Yeah, I'm going to quote Beyonce one time. You know you're that bitch when you cause all this conversation.
Hey.
And that's exactly who this man is right now. That's who Latinos are right now.
Love it.
Going to leave that there for us.
Tess, I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes,
Thank you for having me.
We need to have you back sometime on the pod. We'll figure it out. But we love chatting with you to get some hot takes on Latino pop culture and more. And clearly the economy, because this bitch is a well-versed. She knows everything about everything.
One thing I'm going to do is read.
Yeah, bitch likes to read. Not me, though.
Tess, where can people find you and your work so they follow you and your amazing videos that you've been posting?
Ay, gracias. People can find me on all social platforms at Hi, This Is Tess, as in, Hi, This Is Tess. And TessGarcia.com, but I'm all over the place on the internet.
Yeah, and you might see her next time you read an article and you're like, yes, go off. It's probably written by Tess.
Probably.
We're going to toss the break. And when we come back, Meli and I are going to take you through our personal step-by-steps on how to reach your goals and lead the life you want. Okay, so today, Meli and I sat down. We're like, what do we want to talk about that's like something that we both like have in common? And I think that one of the things that we love to do is like, we are big goal setters. Like, we have goals, we have dreams, we have aspirations, and we are going to go out there. And what we're going to do is we're going to try, and we're going to try our best. And I think that when we think about our goals and our dreams and our lives, and you're like, what is like the biggest possible, most incredible thing that you could possibly achieve in your life, it becomes so overwhelming, like, and you don't even know where to start, right? So like, let's just say you're making a huge career shift. You are wanting to make a hobby into a profession. You don't know, nobody has ever done what you are visualizing yourself doing before in the world. It seems so overwhelming, so daunting, but the most important thing is to have a clear path and to take the first step. Meli, you, after you retired from being a pro footballer, you said, I want to make this my career. I don't want this to be the end of the path for me. Like, I want to be in sport. How is it that you curated the right mindset you feel to take you to where you're at today?
Yeah. Well, thanks for that intro, Cami, because I think our listeners also, we get these questions a lot. Like, how did you get to where you are today? Or, what are those steps in terms of goal setting and dealing even with the outside noise and balancing so much in your day to day? And I want to take a step back because one of the things I learned that was so important during my playing career, which I think really helped me in my post-playing career into getting into like broadcasting and stuff, was I had read a book called Mind Gym. And so every day you can go out for a walk, you can lift weights, you can exercise your body. And yes, that does help and impact your mind, your mental health. But you also need to work out your mind and you have to work out your brain. And by doing that, there's lessons that you learn in terms of believing in yourself, giving yourself confidence, talking to yourself the way that you would talk to your best friend, the way that you would talk to, your son or daughter, to motivate them. And so you have to treat your brain and yourself like you are their biggest coach. And it was even to the point in that book that they would talk about athletes, being on a 1v1 in front of the goal and missing it and missing it and missing it. But it's because of the pressure, because of the lack of confidence, and because of all these external factors. But the one factor that they had to really believe in the most was in themselves and in their brain, in the ability and the capacity to be able to achieve that 1v1 and make a goal. And so those types of practices and learnings, and even that book, really helped me in my transition and in my current day life. So when my first step, when I want to achieve something, be it launching this podcast, be it hosting Lionel Messi, be it becoming a broadcaster, it was first not only just writing down my goal, but like actually verbalizing and saying, what is it I want to do? And so if you're trying to figure out what is it that you want to do, or maybe you already know, but you don't know what's the first step, it's saying it. It's putting it out there into the universe. It's writing it down and it's manifesting it. And you can manifest it in so many different ways. And Cami and I, we've both have spoken so much about the power of manifestation. And so I just think that the first step that you need to do is exactly that, putting it out there, writing it down. Then it's taking action. What about your first step, Cami, or maybe beyond that? Because you as well have taken a huge step recently, which is becoming a singer, an artist, and recording your own first song and music video. That's a whole goal and dream in itself, that you have made that first step in doing it and executing it. So I would love to know how you put that into practice.
Well, first off, I love the mind gym kind of like situation, because I think that it doesn't matter like what goal you have in mind. We talked about this before. Like my goal was not like release the music, right? But I did have like, I wanted to like make changes. And when I did decide like, hey, I'm going to release the music, there were actionable steps that I took and like things that I needed to complete in order to arrive at the place where I had my own song. I had a video for it. I did think about like how to release it on social media and how to have a conversation with people. But it doesn't matter. I think if you are, one of the things that every single year that I do at the beginning of the year, I didn't do it last year, which was a big surprise. But for a moment, I was like, I think I went through a lot at the end of last year in December. That's where I encountered loss in my family. So I decided to kind of like take it easy and not put pressure on myself in the year. And kind of my overall goal was to not say no to anything and to just allow myself to creatively flow a little bit more. But in the past, when I was trying to achieve goals, I would, in the beginning of the year, write down like the craziest goals that I wanted to achieve. Some were crazier and some were less crazy. And I would literally close the book, right? Close the book. No, actually, I lied. I would write down the biggest goals that I could ever dream of. And then I would write break down each goal by like actionable steps that I could take to reach those goals. And then I would close it. So in my head, I already kind of knew subconsciously, even if I forgot, like the things that I had to do in order to achieve them without putting so much external pressure on myself. And then at the end of the year, one of the craziest things is you open up that book and you can check off entire things from your list, especially if they're relatively in alignment with the actions that you're taking. Do you set goals at the beginning of the year, Meli?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. I do it every year. And
you write it down?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, I have in my notes app in my phone. I have like a checkbox. Yeah. And I'll write them all down. And then my husband and I got to a point too, I want to say about 4 or 5 years ago, that we started doing them together at the beginning of the year, which also helps, and something that's important too. If you want to help like hold yourself accountable, but you're not like putting pressure on someone else, and it's like accountability. It's more just like, hey, if you are a team, like my husband and I we see each other as like a team. It's like, hey, like let's look at like what we wanted to achieve at some point. How's that going? Do we still want to do it? Sometimes you change, sometimes you don't. But I do think that when you surround yourself with the right people, they will also help you and motivate you to achieve those types of things. Remember when we spoke to, oh my gosh, the NFL, Hard Rock Stadium, one of our very first episodes.
Pre-Shoemate.
Oh my gosh. Remember when Pre-Shoemate talked about accountability, and she had a group at her work to have the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah.
And the group would either like text each other in the morning, just to, not like obnoxiously, but like just to say, hey, you awake? And then they would do their routine or go work out, whatever, on their own. But it was just like an accountability thing. I think those also help when you're taking actionable steps. But what about like
100%? Community is hyper important. So I think when it comes to goal setting, like after, like, let's say, for example, you want to be an actor, but you haven't even acted before in your life, like this is just an example, or you want to get a promotion at work, whatever it is that your goal is, but like let's use acting as an example. You want to be an actor. You have never acted in your life before, but you write in your year's goal, I want to be an actor, or I want to consider myself an actor. Step number one is learn how to act. How do you learn how to act? You put in time, and the way that you put in time is you don't necessarily need to gain access to the 85-hour acting workshop exclusive, whatever. There's so many tools that you can use online to get to where it is that you want to go. Maybe in the beginning, so that it's less daunting, you start to watch 20-minute YouTube videos on how to act, right? And then that will kind of give you more insight and more knowledge as to like, okay, well, like people that are acting, sometimes they take classes via Zoom. There's webinars that you can take that'll teach you about acting. You can actually do like in-person acting. You can do improv. There's different kinds of acting. What is it that you want to explore, right? But I think number one is like writing down like what's the first step that you need to take, because if you don't take the first step, then you're never going to go anywhere, right? When preparation meets opportunity, that's when you find success or your big break or that moment. But if you're not prepared and you don't have any experience, you can't be mad at anybody for you not getting the opportunities or leading the life that you want to lead, right? So when we talk about goals, we've all heard of SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Notice that I didn't say like I want to win an Oscar in a year. I said I want to consider myself an actor, right? So that's not necessarily like time bound, right? But if you were to want to make it time bound, you can make it SMART. You can say, I want to start auditioning for at least 5 roles, achievable, relevant, like via getting a manager or an agent, or via self-submission, for roles that make sense for me within the next 2 years. That's very reasonable, right?
Absolutely. And I think when you're setting these goals, right, you think a lot about like, oh my gosh, but like mi tía tóxica, like what are they going to think about me?
Oh.
What if I'm not like at home as much, if, you know, you have a family, or what if you're not, you know, with your husband or wife as much, or, you know, your partner, or I don't know, like there's so many external factors that you think about the other person, the external, and not about yourself. Did you ever catch yourself in that moment just being like, not like you have your goal, but you're just like thinking about the everything else but it?
You always think about that. So when I was in college and I wanted to get a job in communications, I always thought, okay, well, I'm not qualified. Like, who am I? In the back of your head, you kind of, not everyone, but like you have those thoughts like come in. That's what I like to call your internal cucaracha. And then you have to fumigate that bitch and send her back into the wall. We all have one. It's just a matter of whether or not you let that cucaracha commiserate with your other negative thoughts, and then you have a fucking cucaracha roundtable happening in your head, versus having that one internal cucaracha that has no fucking friends, and then you can send her back into the wall whenever she comes out to play, right?
I want to throw up.
Yeah,
thinking
disgusting.
about cucarachas, because cucarachas also
but it's
overpopulate. They populate. They keep populating.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and you can't kill them, right? So you're always gonna have at least one in the house. Like, let's just be so fucking for real.
Disgusting.
So when I graduated college and I got a job in communications, I was like, oh, well, I haven't written so much in Spanish before, and I have to communicate with people from Latin America. Like, am I even qualified for something like this? Da, 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 da. Like, what are people going to think about, you know, my writing skills or whatever? When I made the transition into fitness, I was like, well, what are people going to think about me just like restarting my career, like shifting over this way? During that time, I was still in the process of healing my relationship with my body. I was like, nobody's going to take fitness advice from me. I do not look fit enough. Why would they take fitness advice from me if I struggle with my body image, right? Then after that, when I started posting in Spanish on Instagram, on social media, so many people that I knew from like high school and stuff like unfollowed me. I was like, these people hate my content. I'm not going to go anywhere. Like, these people are like judging me for like posting workout videos in Spanish. These are all internal, right? Like, yeah, some people unfollowed me, but like the reality is like people don't give a fuck about me. Like, not that people are not talking shit about me for posting a workout video in Spanish, and if they are, like, fuck them anyway. Like, it's really not that deep.
I love that because keep going.
No, but the same thing happened when I went to Peloton. I was like, well, what are people gonna think about this little Latina that's just out here like screaming no cucaracha energy or whatever the fuck, like on the mic? And then when I started opening up a little bit more, even on my rides, when I started talking about things that are like a little bit deeper, it's always like, what are people gonna think? And right before I launched my song, I was like, people are gonna talk shit. And honestly, I don't give a fuck what anybody else has to say about my song, because Gloria Stefan told me 4 times that she loved it, so fuck you guys.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
But like, if you are always worried about what other people are gonna think, you're literally never gonna do anything with your life.
Literally. I love that you say that, because in my transition from playing to like become a broadcaster, I knew I wanted to become a broadcaster, but I didn't know honestly like what it would take to get there. I did not study communications, y'all. I did not study journalism. I have a background in playing soccer, but like that's different. I have a background in business. And so just like you, I took an actionable step, which was, okay, no network wants to hire me because I went knocking on ESPN's door. But I did one step, and that was, I got to buy myself a camera. And the next one was, okay, now that I just spent the money that like I totally didn't have a budget for on a camera, that means I was investing in myself. Then it was like, okay, another actionable step was, let's start creating content. And I'm going to start, ripping out videos, talking about soccer. I'm going to start.
And you have to put things out.
Yes.
You have to start. You have to start somewhere. Everyone starts somewhere. Mm-hmm. You can't wait until it's taking you 10 hours for you to edit this one video, even though I'm sure it probably took that long the first time you edited a video.
No, literally, because there was no CapCut back then.
Literally. Like, but you can't wait until your video is perfect before you post anything, because then no one's going to see it, and no one continue.
Yeah. And so when you say like, don't give a fuck about what anybody else says, during that time I had listened to an audiobook by Gary Vaynerchuk, which was Crushing It. And it was about building your own brand.
I also did that one.
Yeah. I need to read the updated one. I hear it's really good. But it's essentially that he literally says like, don't care about what other people think. Like, you do you, and like, do what you love to do. And that's essentially what I did, because I started thinking about, oh my God, like, what are people going to think about me? I had recently retired. And so like I had a soccer team. So they're probably like, I was kind of like the guinea pig, like one of the first ones kind of that had retired earlier. And I was just like, my teammate, what are they going to think about me too? But then I was just like, you know what? I don't give a fuck. Like, you got to do you and do what you love. And I swear y'all, I promise you, once you do what you love and you believe in yourself, you'll find so much happiness and inner happiness, and like just this like pride that you're proud of yourself more than anything. And like, that's when you start really like figuring out like what self-love really comes to you, when you start making these actionable steps. It doesn't have to be at work. It could be like, if you want to do fitness, like if you want to go out to walk, if you want to go to start running, training for a 5K, 10K, a full marathon, whatever it is, like it's the actionable steps, and you'd be so proud of yourself, honestly.
I wanted to say something about Mind Gym.
Yeah.
I haven't read Mind Gym, but something that's very much so true about anything, whether it's like you're training for something, right? You're gonna exercise for it. So like, let's say for example, your goal is to run a marathon. You have to start your marathon training program, and you're gonna wake up every day and you're gonna be like, okay, next up on my training plan is this, right? So as it pertains to leading the life of your dreams, quote unquote, in exercise, it's a little bit more manageable because you have plans. There are programs, especially on Peloton. Like, there's literally everything that you can possibly choose from that's literally laid out for you to be successful, and you have so many resources. But when it comes to something that's a little bit more creative, for example, like setting yourself up to be a Peloton instructor, right? There's less actionable steps because the groundwork is not laid out for you. Nobody is sitting here saying, in order for you to be the first Latina sports broadcaster, you have to do this step, this step, this step, and this step. But there is something that is called consistency. And that's called time dedicated towards something that brings you slowly closer to where it is that you want to go. So, for example, very easy. Many of us that are listening to this podcast, we work out, right? Especially if you know me from Peloton, or if you like football, potentially you're into exercise. just like you train for a marathon, just like you wake up every morning and you do maybe a 20-minute upper lower body workout, you dedicate another 20 minutes of your day towards this, whether that is if you are learning to edit your videos for social media, editing video for social media, researching product that you need in order to provide high quality content, which you do not need a lot of nowadays. Taking time to watch a video on how to act, taking your acting lesson, doing vocal warm-ups, sitting down and journaling with a purpose, or journaling to think about moments in your life that you can then potentially use to write lyrics for music. Those things add up over time. And we think sometimes that just because we only have 30 minutes before we have to start making dinner for our family, that's not enough time. That could not be further from the truth, because 30 minutes 4 times a day adds up to a substantial amount of time that you wouldn't otherwise not have dedicated to anything relating to this. That gives you more knowledge, that gives you more experience, that gives you more confidence. And I think knowledge, experience, and confidence are 3 of the most important things when you're trying to achieve literally anything. So just like you train your body physically to be stronger, to lift heavier weights, to run faster, to run longer, just like we train our minds, right, to speak kindly to ourselves, to remove ourselves from situations where we're focusing on our mental health, because just like we train our body, we have to train our mind in order to be mentally healthy. Just like that, you also train your talent. You train that like extra brain that you have that's working on something creative to take you to where it is that you want to go.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like, I have dealt with a lot of guilt, because you do take a risk sometimes when you're doing this. You're maybe it depends on your goals, right? Are you risking your time? Are you risking your time away from your family, your loved ones? Are you risking your time from XYZ? And one of the things that I realized is because I also, either travel a lot, or I had to travel a lot to get to where I am, or I had to, even if it was in the same city, go to events, go to working events, go to networking events. Sometimes you don't want to go at the end of the day because it's much more comfortable to stay at home with your loved ones, maybe watch a series on television, yada, yada, yada. But I've realized that when you're dealing with this guilt, you got to ask yourself again, like, what's your goal? What's your end goal? Will this lead me to my goal? Is this worth it for me? Or maybe even my family, or, the people who rely sometimes
Maybe
on
the
me?
goal is balance.
Yeah.
Maybe you want something a little bit more balanced,
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
We were also like, priorities change. We go through different things in life. And sometimes there was a time where I remember like social media was all like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'm like, no, I need to sleep 9 hours a night. If not, I will literally have a panic attack. Okay.
Literally.
I need to sleep and I need to spend time with my husband on the couch. And those are non-negotiables for me that I carve time out for every day of the week. So that's so real, Meli, because I also experience that guilt. But it's so true that if you're aligned with your overall life, it's just something, it's very personal to each person. And don't get me wrong, there's times where I'm like, baby, I can't talk to you for like the next 2 weeks. Just know that I'm going to be with my head down. I'm going to be grinding. And like some family members or partners are more receptive to that than others. Luckily, I think both of our husbands are extremely supportive of both of us being entrepreneurs and like big boss bitches, for lack of better words. And it's nice to have that, but I think also it's a conversation too, because we both communicate with our partners on the regular about this, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think also as like Latinos, Latinas, sometimes we feel like we get put into a box almost. Like we have expectations, not only societal expectations, but family expectations. And that sometimes dictates the way that we think our path is laid or path is set. And sometimes you're like, maybe I want to build my own path. Maybe I want to walk my own walk different from what I was either taught or like, the path that was kind of somewhat built, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the base has been built for a lot of us in a beautiful way, but that's only for us to take a decision to walk which way we want to
Yeah.
go. Right. And so also, if you're maybe even thinking about my parents, what they're expecting from me, like, why am I doing this? Why, as honestly, as women, like, why aren't I at home cooking for my husband? Because that's something that I think as Latinas, like, that's something that's different as our generations have grown. And so, like, what I want to say to that is exactly what, I have gone through, which is like, you do you. Okay. And Cami, you have the best saying. And I remember years ago it went on Instagram. What is it? Like, no me rompan los ovarios? What is
No
it?
me rompan los ovarios. I did not make that up. That's
Oh, you did it?
No. That has been passed down from generations. It's a very wise saying that I'm from Argentina. So the first time I heard it, I was in Argentina. But yeah, no me rompan los ovarios. Can you translate that for us, Meli?
Don't break my ovaries.
Don't bust my ovaries.
Don't bust my ovaries.
Incredible. Exactly. So I think that societal expectations are so real. And if you know what it is that you want for yourself, like, don't let others' limited view of what their life turned out to be or what they think that your life should look like determine or like set the standard for how you want to live, because the reality is that we get to make our own decisions on what that looks like.
Amen.
Yeah.
Any last piece of advice for our listeners or people that are, wanting to live out their dreams?
The only person that's limiting yourself is you. And as long as you keep working towards it and you put in time, it doesn't matter like how little or how much time you have available to set forward to it, you will get closer to it. And alignment happens in very weird ways sometimes. Sometimes you think that this one thing is supposed to be what worked out for you, and then it doesn't happen and you're devastated. You're heartbroken, and you're like, wow, but this was like my big break. This was the opportunity where I was going to change lives and finally get to teach to thousands of people and like have conversations about wellness and fitness. I'm talking about myself right now. And it doesn't happen because something more aligned with who you are and what you're supposed to be doing is waiting for you on the other side. And as long as you don't let that knock you down, then you will make it. What about you, Meli?
I think that one, it's taking the step.
Yeah.
It's taking the actionable step. But we talked about Bad Bunny at the top of this show, and there is no better person right now in this given space that has taken step by step by step. And it's a journey, y'all. He didn't do this in like 2 years, okay? It's been a long time. It's been well over a decade in the works.
There's another like entire episode that we could be having about like authenticity and your unique voice that I think we should maybe touch on in the future, Meli, because that's also another thing to be said. Like, it's not just about like step by step action, it's also about alignment with who you are and ownership of that, and like the understanding of the power of what it is that you represent and the power that you have, and also like how you can train yourself to value that so that when you communicate, other people can see the value in that as well. So I think we should definitely come back and touch base on that. What do you think?
Amen, sister. We have to.
Well, thank you for having this conversation with me. I admire Melissa so much because she's a goal getter. She's a bitch that will be like, I'm going to do this. And then a year later, we're launching a podcast together.
Girl, you too.
So I'm really pumped that we had this conversation. And if you guys want to hear any other specific topics from us, like, please feel free to drop it in the comments on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast, on the podcast, Hasta Abajo Pod, Instagram, or social media handles, so that we can make sure that we are also providing you with what it is that you guys want to know from us.
Perfect. All right. Now on to the segment. Cami, drum roll, please. Hágame famosa. And this is the part where Camila obviously shares her favorite shareable things in the world of music y las buenas vibras. And then I talked to you a bit about the insight into the sports world, whether that be in soccer, football, or women's sports. So
Exactly. So, Meli, what do you have in the world of sports for us?
all right. So I'm going to first update you on the NWSL, which is the Professional Women's Soccer League. Just a few weeks ago, the Kansas City Current won the NWSL Shield. And as of recently, so a little bit after that, Washington Spirit clinched the playoffs. And in that game, there's a Nigerian player. Her name is Gift Monday. Y'all, if you have a name, Gift Monday, that's already a gift in itself. And she recently scored the fastest hat trick in all of NWSL history in the 18th, 21st, and 36th minute. So this was like a huge moment in the NWSL. But just keep in mind and on your radar that obviously there's, two teams that are into the playoffs, but the playoffs do start November 7th. So that's just about a month away. So actually this is one of the most exciting times to tune in to the NWSL, to these women's soccer games, because this is when things get heated. It starts to really get lit, obviously, because there's playoffs on the line and the postseason is on the line. So tune into those games. And then secondly, in the world of the WNBA in women's basketball, the Minnesota Lynx coach, Sherelle Reeves, was suspended for one game for her behavior and comments during and following the loss to the Phoenix Mercury. That was, yes, it was cheese. And it was all because of her reaction, because one of her players, Nafisa Collier, got injured off this play. This is the first time, I believe, that in the history of the WNBA that a coach has been suspended for a playoff game. But this is just a call. This is a call because what Reeves said was that she wants there to be changes in the league when it comes to officiating, and that the officiating crew time and time again has been, lacking good calls. She says, she literally quote unquote said, for the leadership to deem 3 people semifinal playoff worthy, it's fucking malpractice. So she not only said stuff during game, she said it after the game. And so this all goes to show that the league has to do a better job in protecting the players, because obviously there was an injury caused of that.
Yeah.
And I think this is not only just the WNBA. This is across other sports as well. I think officiating does have to, obviously get better. There's a lot of stakes on the line when it comes to qualifying, going to next rounds, whether it be the playoffs, championships, etc. So anyways, that's in the world of WNBA. The Lynx lost in game 4 of the series, and now without their coach and without their star player. So there's a lot of heated news in the WNBA as of recent. Now over to you, Cami.
Oh my goodness, that was a lot of cheese, Meli. Thank you for sharing that with us. On my side, I guess I have sweeter news. I went to a listening event for Silvana Estrada, who is a Mexican artist. She is an indie artist, and her new album, Vendrán Suaves Lluvias, is dropping in 16 days. There's a couple of tracks that are already out from the album. It was a private event that was kind of like a Q&A session with the editor of Rolling Stone, the Latin music editor of Rolling Stone, that was interviewing Silvana Estrada. Silvana Estrada. And they played some unreleased music, and she also performed. When I tell you that you can hear the woman's soul when she sings, it was absolutely incredible. She also mentioned that she had just recorded a Tiny Desk. She came with some of the performers from the Tiny Desk to perform for us as well. So if you see the Tiny Desk, listen to it. I'm not sure if it'll drop by the time this episode drops, but make sure that you check it out. And then go and listen to Silvana Estrada's tracks that you can access off the album right now. I'm a crier, but also everyone was crying in this thing, because you can feel the emotion. And she also went through a very difficult time. She described it as one of the most difficult times of her life, where one of her best friends passed away. So there's a lot of you can hear that in the sound a lot, and it's really refreshing, and it's so beautiful to see somebody express themselves in that way with their voice. Her vocals are just incredible.
Love that. You mentioned first off, I need to listen. If can you share that? Like I need to find this, by the way. Like send me the link. Send me the link.
Of course. Yeah, I'll send it to you right now.
And you say Tiny Desk, y'all. I listened to the entire Carlos
Vives. I knew it. I knew it.
It's
so good.
It's so good, y'all. You need to listen to Carlos Vives' Tiny Desk.
With him.
Is Carlos Vives going on tour? Did I hear this?
I feel like he just was kind of touring. If not officially touring, he was definitely traveling around the world and performing, because I did see that. But I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll get back to you. I'll confirm in our next podcast whether Carlos Vives is going on tour or not.
Perfect.
Which I hope so.
I mean, same. I'll be there front row screaming my lungs out. Meli, you have to pick me up on your shoulders if Carlos Vives performs in front of us. Then we'll get kicked out of the venue.
We probably will.
Worth it. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope that you took some valuable stuff away from this pod. Melissa and I are always so excited to share, our BTS on how we push each other forward to be the best versions of ourselves, which is something that we continuously strive for, aside from giving ourselves permission to perrear and have fun on the regular. So thank you guys so much for listening. If there's anything else that you want to hear from us, make sure that you drop it in the comments, share this podcast with a friend, and until next time, that is
Hasta Abajo, baby.
Let's
See you
go.
later.
Hasta Abajo is an iHeart women's sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment.
For more podcasts, listen to the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.